Welcome to After Dark Live, Simply Stogies After Dark Live. It's our monthly show where it's our only two-cigar show. It's our only live show. We do it for our LE Club members. If you'd like to join the LE Club, you certainly can. Just go to simplystogies.com, click the register in the top right, drop down $10 a month, $10 a year. And you can come on, you can join the conversation live. If you're watching on Facebook, Rumble, if that's up and working, Instagram, YouTube Live, wherever you're watching from, leave a comment. We're trying out some new software. We're having a little bit of issue, I think, with Rumble, but I think Tim's working on it right now. But first, I want to just thank everybody for watching and all the support that we've gotten from everybody over just this past year. We're halfway through the year now. It's July 5th. And it's been fantastic. And we've grown quite a bit just even in the last 6 months. It's humbling. It's humbling. Very, very humbling. I also, before we bring everybody else in who's on the call right now, which if you're an LE Club member, check your email. You got an invite to this. We're not using Zoom anymore. We're on StreamYard, and it looks to be working fairly well, I think, so far. I don't know. You tell us how it's working. But before we go any farther, we did lose a friend of the show, a friend of mine, and one of our writers and cameraman, Eric Lemire. He had a short illness, and he passed last weekend. So our thoughts and prayers are with his family and his daughter, his son, his wife, and yeah, it's sad, but I want to dedicate this episode of Live to him, and the next episode to Clear the Air, which comes out, I believe, on Monday, is dedicated to him as well. But you know what? If you're not an LE Club member, you should be, because I'm going to bring in, one of my good friends and the owner of Lure Cigars, Lou Cross. Lou, welcome to the program, my friend.
Hey, James, how are you, sir?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. What are you smoking tonight there, my friend? I see you're lighting up it's got to be a Lure.
It's a Lure. I'm lighting up the Big Lou. It's Fish Stick Friday, so got to get my Lure in. I'm going to start off with that. I brought a couple of the different cigars out here, but definitely going to start with a Lure.
Nice. Let's bring in my friend, my co-host, the host of Clear the Air. It was all his idea. If you don't like the show, blame him. It's Tim. Tim, my friend, welcome to the program. Did you get Rumble figured out?
Hey, one thing at a time, my friend. I'm trying to work on Rumble, get that up and running, but thank you for having me. Clear the Air was my idea. This, however, is your brainchild.
Was it?
I think so. Yeah.
I want to blame it.
But anyway, I'm glad to be here. I really am.
I just want to blame you.
Yeah, I know. But we have Lou on the show. Like,
what are you smoking, Tim?
This, I don't know if I should even show this. I mean,
the speckled perch.
I mean,
nice.
Yep. Oh, it's good. It's good, and I just got it lit.
Nice. You guys tell me which view you like best here. Tim works on Rumble. Do you like this view? Do you like this view? I don't know. Now Lou's down there and Tim's over there. It's hard. I still don't have my new humidor. I'm a little upset. Look, there's a lot of stuff going on in the news. Not really a whole lot. I mean, we got Coop covering sandwiches now. He's doing sandwich reviews. Did you guys
No, I didn't catch that.
Yeah, if you go to cigarcoop.com, you can see he's got a new review of a Subway sandwich. I mean, this is apparently something he's doing for the summer. Look, there's not really a whole lot going on in and around the industry. We will talk about some things. There have been some developments, if you will, over the last month, and we'll talk about that. But again, before we do, I want to pay the bills, so to speak. So we're gonna talk about our sponsors, and our first sponsor, that I'm very happy to have, is Valakari Cigars. Now, we've had Nimr Ahmad on the show once. He's coming up again. You'll see him here maybe sometime in August, early September. Nimr is one of the real ones in the industry, and Valakari Cigars are fantastic. I was turned on to Valakari cigars by Lou Cross, and they're carried by one of our other sponsors, which I'll get to here in just a minute. But Valakari, like I've said this before, but they literally have something for everybody. They're some of the most well-constructed cigars out there, and they're full of flavor, including the Messenger, which is my personal favorite. But I like that Connecticut smooth type of profile, especially first thing in the morning. I love the Messenger. It's a Connecticut wrapper over Nicaraguan binder and fillers, so it's got that oomph to it. I invite you to check it out. But look, if you want something a little more full, the neoclassic is great. The nobility just so good, so good. You can't go wrong with anything from Valakari Cigars. Check them out, Valakari Cigars. If your B&M doesn't have it, certainly ask for it. Valakari Cigars level up your experience with Valakari. And if your local B&M doesn't have it, you know where you can get it. You can get it at smallbatchcigar.com. That's right, smallbatchcigar.com. They are our exclusive retail partner in the space. And if you use code Stogies when you check out at smallbatchcigar.com, you get an extra 10% off plus 5% reward points, bonus reward points. Look, bank those reward points now. Use them in Christmas. It's like Christmas in July, folks. Smallbatchcigar.com. Fastest shipping in the game. I would put them up against anybody. Not only that, these guys package you like pros. Nothing's loose in the box. You're not going to have a bunch of newspaper stuffed in there. They use bubble wrap. They use Boveda. They send it with Boveda. Guys, they have some of the best brands out there. They have turned me on to Dapper, Castagli, the Carry Valakari. They support small cigar brands. They also support small podcasts like mine. So I'm very grateful to have Small Batch Cigar as an advertiser and as our exclusive online retail partner. Visit smallbatchcigar.com. Order today. Use coupon code Stogies, 10% off plus 5% reward points. Enthusiasts know. Aficionados know. You should know. Go to smallbatchcigar.com. And that's going to do it, I think, for the shilling, at least for right now, as Tim continues to work on Rumble and get that up and going. Look, guys, leave a comment. You're watching, leave a comment. It'll show up. I think it'll show up. I don't know. Maybe it won't. We're literally, this is our first time trying out this StreamYard thing. And hopefully it'll work fairly well, but who knows? But look, this isn't shilling. I'm just going to tell you where I'm going to be, right? Because I think it's important for people to know, Lou, right? Where I'm going to be doing things going on in the world. It's small, simplystogies.com. Simply Stogies Podcast. We don't just sit in the studio. That's not what we do. I mean, I do. I sit there in here a lot. I smoke a cigar. But you know what? On July 26th, I will be at Fuma Cigar Social in Tallahassee, Florida, for the Valakari Cigar Astronomia launch party. Now, it's not going to be a wide release right off the bat. Eventually, Small Batch Cigar will have the Astronomia, but look, you know what they have right now? They have the Astronomia pre-release. So you can get that on Small Batch Cigar. But if you want to try the brand new Astronomia release, July 26th, Fuma Cigar Social, Nimmer Ahmad will be there. I'll be there. I think Lou's going to be there. I don't know who else is going to be there, but it should be a good time. We're going to hang out. We're going to smoke cigars. We're going to talk about the Astronomia and all the footage, everything that we get there. I'll put it out at a later date when the Astronomia gets that wider release. But if you want to come hang out with me, meet me if you're in the Tallahassee area, Fuma Cigar Social, July 26th. Now, look, let's say you don't want to go to Fuma or you're busy on Friday. That's sad. It's sad because you're going to miss out on the Astronomia. You're going to miss out, hanging out with Nimmer. But fear not, I'm still in the area. If you're anywhere near Enterprise, Alabama, go to Bull Weevil on the 27th of July, just the very next day. And I'll be hanging out with my friend Lou Cross and all the folks at Bull Weevil in Enterprise, Alabama for the Mean Gene release party. And we will be streaming live. And if you're an LE Club member, we're going to have something special for you. Now, look, the details are not set in stone, but if you're an LE Club member and you've paid that $100 and you've paid up front for the year, or you're a lifetime member, or you're a tier 2 or a tier 3 member, guess what? I got you covered. There's going to be something special for you guys, so stay tuned for that. And look, if you're there and you want to join, or you're sitting at home and you're like, oh crap, I want some of that. How do I do that? Just join the LE Club. That's all you got to do. Join the LE Club. Register, simplystogies.com. $10 a month, $100 a year. That's the minimum. That's the lowest bar of entry. You put that $100 a year in there, and we're gonna have you covered. But it's gonna be a good time, right, Lou?
Yes, sir.
I feel like I've just done a lot of talking because Tim is still working on Rumble. I am smoking the McAuliffe Blue.
Yummy.
Such a tasty cigar. How you doing, Lou? What's going on? How you been?
Not much, man. I'm just glad that there was a storm that came through here and kind of took some of the heat out of the air. It was over 108 degrees, 109 degrees on the thermometer today, and the humidity was fierce. Dan Thompson's comment: hope everyone had a safe and good Independence Day. Look at that. That's cool how the comments
Isn't
pop
that
up.
cool how that comes up like that?
That's
It's
slick.
pretty neat.
That's
Dan, I had a
slick.
great July 4th. I like, how was your July 4th?
You're talking to me or talking to Dan?
Both. I mean, you're the one that can respond immediately. Dan's probably waiting a couple seconds before he even hears
That's
it.
okay. My 4th was really low key. Had my mom come over. We just grilled out, had hamburgers, hot dogs, smoked a lot of cigars, and took it easy. My kids are all getting ready to go in different directions, and so they were packing up and just enjoying spending time with the family. So it was really good. How about you?
It was good. I think I added. He keeps removing himself. Oh, there he is. He can add himself to the.
We're on Rumble. I got us fixed.
Yeah. Oh, perfect. We are on Rumble. Excellent. Thank you. Because I set it up, and I probably set it up like an idiot because I have no idea.
Yeah, I think we had a couple stream keys. We were using the wrong one. I got it fixed. We should be good.
Perfect. Yeah, we did, Dan. This is what happens when we get advertisers and sponsors. I'm able to afford to up the production value a little bit. So yeah,
a lot of it.
Yeah, a lot of it. I mean, this is like high level. I feel almost like I feel like an imposter. Like I shouldn't be doing this. Like I should be dimly lit, in like a back room somewhere. Yeah, I podcast. Yeah, sure I do. I'm glad you and your wife had a relaxing and beautiful day celebrating America. Definitely, we celebrated America. My parents came in town. In fact, they just left a little bit ago, and it was good. It was good. It's a lot, but it was good. So I'm glad that they were able to come visit with us. Yeah, it was fun. Let's talk a little bit about some of the news now that Tim's back, and I'm done kind of rambling for the first 15 minutes of the show. Let us know how you guys like the production value. Obviously, Dan likes it. I like it. Tim likes it. I think Lou likes it.
Yeah, Lou likes it so much he just left.
Yeah.
No, I'm here. I'm gonna actually drop and send the link. I'm trying to figure out, can we send the link out? Because normally what I'll do is I'll go put the link out on some of my cigar places. Now that we're trying this.
What, to join or to just watch?
Just to follow along on like Facebook.
Oh yeah. Facebook. Drop a Facebook share.
Yeah, I'll text you the code.
There you go. I think the first thing that we want to put out there is or talk about the new executive director of the PCA, Joshua Habursky, who was the interim executive director. He was the vice executive director. I'm not sure what is, but like he's also the guy who's been in charge of all the lobbying for the PCA. I mean, this just makes sense to me. This move makes a lot of sense. So congratulations to Joshua Habursky. And I guess my question to you, Tim, is do you think we're going to see any changes right away? I mean, I can tell you, I think we've seen changes right away, but what do you think?
Well, I mean, you're definitely focusing on what the PCA is doing from, the time you wake up to the time you go to sleep because you have nothing else to do. And so I rely on you for a lot of that feedback on what's going on and what's happening. I think, yes, there has been some changes, and I'm hoping that the changes continue to move in a positive direction. Switchback.
Switchback now. Yeah, look, I can tell you some of the changes that I've seen already just from media. So there's a couple of events. There's like, I think 4 events. 2 of them are PCA events around the Democratic National Convention and the Republican National Convention in Milwaukee and in Chicago, respectively. I think the Republican one is in Chicago and the Democratic one's in Milwaukee. It might be the other way around.
Yeah, I don't keep track of that.
Regardless, Josh had sent out an email to all media saying, hey, if you want to come to this, just let me know. And we'll like, that's something that the PCA hasn't done before.
No.
At least not while I've been a member of the PCA, where they've been
right.
like, hey, if you want to come to this event that we're doing that's not trade show related and you want to cover it, just let us know. And look, Milwaukee and Chicago are both fairly close to where I'm at. But I mean, that begs the question, do I want to cover it? And we've always said, Tim, that we don't want to cover politics here. What do you think? Do we want to cover politics? Do we want to cover?
No. I mean, you can cover the event and put a consumer spin on it. You know, what's going on and how does it affect the consumer? But I don't think you go to an event like that and cover, you know, the politicians and what their thoughts and their opinions are, you know. Like, well,
I understand what you're saying, but I think that this is more under the banner of cigar politics, which we certainly do talk about for the most. I mean, we do. We try to stay out of the political fray, left, right, middle, wherever. But under the umbrella of what the PCA does in fighting the FDA and making sure that our rights to smoke and choose to smoke as adults and enjoy this product. It's pretty important. So, for them to send out an email saying, hey, these are the events, and then they have something else in DC, and there was another event. I don't have the email in front of me because we were too busy trying to set up all of this beforehand. So, I mean, it's just...
I mean, obviously, we're off to a better start than we have been the previous 9 episodes of After Dark because you don't have this guy doing it.
Well, I don't think it's that. I think it's the software.
This makes it a whole lot easier.
It's like just click and go.
Right. Yeah.
It's kind of nice. I would like to go and check it out, but I mean,
what about just going for year 1, just going and seeing what it's all about and making a determination on whether it's something that we cover as Simply Stogies or, hey, we're going to leave that up to somebody else.
Well, I mean, I guess that's a good question for our audience is, does the audience want to see us go cover the Democratic and the Republican National Conventions at these cigar lounges? Now, it's not that we're going to the convention and covering the conventions. Let me be clear.
Right.
We're going to the cigar lounge in Chicago. It's Up Down with Phil Ledbetter and company there. Great lounge. If you've never been to Chicago or if you're in the Chicagoland area or anywhere near, Up Down's a place to go, especially if you're going to go anywhere near downtown Chicago. I love Up Down and I love Phil to death. He's been on the show before. I'd love to get him back on. And he's very plugged into the politics of cigars, and so it makes sense for him to have host this cigar event after the convention. And it would be nice to kind of see who's there, both in Milwaukee and in Chicago, as far as politicians, see if any politicians show up, like who is in the cigar space, who enjoys cigars, and be able to kind of pick their brain a little bit. But again, we're so small time, even though now we look big time with this software. I even bought a Stream Deck, so I could just push a button, and I'm here.
Look at you go!
I know, right? I just don't know. I don't know. I don't know if it's worth the time. And finding a hotel is going to be almost next to impossible at this point.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
So I think we might skip it this year, but it was nice that Josh had sent that out, and he was like, hey, if you guys want to go, all you need to do is let me know and I'll make sure that you guys have a ticket.
I'm curious if any of the other outlets have reached out and said, yeah, I want to go.
Well, I would hope that Half Wheel has, but I don't know how big of a deal this is, even in the industry as a whole. I think it's great that they are hosting events after the conventions. I think this is something that they should do in every city going forward. I think it's a great way to kind of spread awareness with politicians as far as the issues go. Legally with cigars and regulation and the FDA and all of that. I don't know, Lou, what say you? What do you think of all this? Do you think going to these things is a good idea for media? Do you think, I think it's great that the PCA is trying to include us in these things, but like, what are your thoughts?
Well, I think that just from a curiosity standpoint, sure, you go hang out and smoke cigars, but from an influence standpoint, I just don't think that the average consumer has got a lot of leverage. And I do think that the PCA and other organizations at their level, it is responsible for them to go and show up and have a voice, because they do have a considerable amount of lobbying effort. And you hope that when you pay your dues as a manufacturer or a retailer or a member or whatever, that media coverage only helps their message to make sure that it gets out there. So in the end, I think that does help. But I think that realistically, from a consumer standpoint and going and trying to see how things go or people's opinions, I don't know if I believe in the political system enough to warrant putting that much money and effort into it. I think you sit back and you pay attention, and then you communicate to the lobbying entity, that PCA or BCA or what was the other one, TPA or TCA or
So there's the CRA, the PCA, and the CAA.
Yeah, and then I don't know that new one that came out. Whatever you
guys
were talking about
last time. With Ish and
But
I don't. And I guess this is a better question for Ish than it is anybody else, right? But I would imagine that the TPA, is that what it is? TPA?
Yeah, TPA.
Or TP, yeah, TPA.
TPA.
I wonder if that's more of just because it sounded more like a co-op when we talked to him last month for cigar manufacturers and cigar media and those in and around the industry than it did any kind of lobbying group or especially to start with, because they're so small right now.
I get it, but I mean, in terms of goals and being able to show up and be relevant and have your opportunity to have your voice heard, I don't think you're going to be able to connect with anybody on the floor. But if you can connect with people in the PCA, for example, and they're willing to listen to you and they're willing to let your coverage support their initiatives, which are hopefully are representative of the constituent members of their organization, it can't hurt. But I don't know about expending resources to go and do that. With the technology that exists, I think if you were able to sit back and do a live like this during the event would be warranted, just to be able to reach the same audience you're going to reach as if you spent your time and money to go visit somewhere where they're going to be physically. That might be more value than to actually be there and in person. I don't know.
You make a pretty good point, and that makes me curious if maybe we should do maybe a live with because at this point we've already got things with
but you know how it works when you try to do a live with say you're going to run off your cellular network, because nobody wants to give you the Wi-Fi password to the venue. So you get a whole group of people in that same area, and everybody is trying to do their Instagram and their TalkTick and Facebook and all that other stuff. Trying to do a live stream at an event like that is almost impossible unless you're going to spend a whole bunch of money.
I wonder if this streams to TikTok. I didn't even think about that.
I don't have the Chinese spy blood
or
TalkTick. I absolutely do. I think look, when I poop, I don't want to be bored, and TikTok is great for not for just entertainment.
Yeah, I jump into the metaverse. I just I got my goggles on. I'm just like pooping.
Yeah, so you just like to give your information.
I don't have goggles, so
and not the Chinese. Yeah. That's fine. least you're giving it to an American, I guess. I don't know.
Well, I'm not we're
and
not.
what I
gonna
meant
go
was
there.
maybe just have Phil on for a live later on in the month to kind of talk about what he's going to do. And maybe even Josh as well, have Joshua Habersky on. And this whole conversation started with Josh has taken over the executive director. He's been named the new executive director of the Premium Cigar Association. And you know, look, Dan says be fearless, do the live. Worst case, you delete it.
You don't delete anything.
I don't. Dan, you've seen some of my content. I just leave it all up. It's like, yeah, I'm an idiot. Like, go ahead and make fun.
You're hired.
Dan's hired. Just delete. Just do it. Delete it. Who gives a shit? I mean, he's not wrong.
Well, no, but
content.
I mean, there's going to be a number of people that are sitting there watching the conventions, and they're going to be watching, you know, those things. And if you want to look at it from the standpoint of if there's any mention or any kind of thing, I mean, if you want to do it, it's no different than a sporting event or no different than a cigar event. And I think that you have the technology now where it's a stable platform to deliver your message and to get together as a virtual HERF. And I think as you add people to your LE subscribers, I think that it would allow us to have a dialogue that you could then pass along. If they're not paying attention live, you could pass along to the PCA. And the fact that the PCA is even asking for your insight, like Dan says.
Yeah, I mean, strength in numbers, right? So
Sure.
you bring people along with you. That's just more people there.
Well, I think it's more. I think it's more of this. I think it's more that the PCA is really trying to continue, or where Josh specifically is trying to continue where Scott Pierce left off. Thank you. I couldn't remember his first name. I'm like, it's Pierce.
Yeah.
Pierce. What's his first name? Where Scott left off before he left for the CAA. And that is really making inroads with media. And like Dan says, you capture the moment. Let's go. It might be some interesting insight. And I think it is. And I think that's it. I think the PCA is trying to, Josh is trying to continue off and get the media to really be involved with what they're trying to do, which I think is a great thing to do. But that brings up this existential, I guess, conversation of what is media. And I know we've talked about it before. And if you look at the Cigar Authority with Garofalo and the group there, like, he doesn't believe that he's media. And when he says that, what he means is journalism, right? He's not a journalist. I'm not a journalist. I think the closest we have to cigar journalism outside of Cigar Aficionado, which I don't like, that's print media. I don't think it's journalism either. Is Half Wheel. I think it's Half Wheel. And Dan makes this comment every time we talk about this on the live, which seems to
yeah, he does.
He makes the same content, the same comment. He's very much a proponent for media in this space. I have no inside knowledge. We need media to help amplify the industry. Our rights are paramount. He's not wrong. Mainstream anyway. Yeah, I mean that is 100% true. Mainstream media ain't journalism either. Journalism, as far as I'm concerned, is dead. And what I mean by that is old school journalism, which you would open up a newspaper every day and you would read, is dead. When I was in high school, when I was in high school, we would and I went to a parochial school. We had to subscribe to Newsweek for our social studies class, and we would have to read the Newsweek, every week, and we'd get quizzed on it, and we had to understand. At the time, modern politics. This was 30 fucking years ago. God, I'm old.
They didn't do that when I went to school.
Right. I don't think a lot of public schools did that, but a private parochial school is definitely going to do that to make sure that you understood what modern politics was all about. You were informed. Those days are gone. Like you said, Lou, it's all editorial. And while we are editorial for the most part in the sense of, we have Lou on the show. And what do? I just ask Lou a bunch of questions about Lou or Cigar. And then we get his opinion on things. I put my opinion out there. What is this show? This show is nothing but fucking talking heads. That's it. We're just talking heads. It's all editorial and it's all opinion. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And I think that that's just with the advent of the internet and everything that comes along with it, good, bad, or indifferent. What's not porn is editorial. That's what you're left with the internet. And it's just people commenting on things and giving their opinion. Do you guys disagree with that at all?
No. And every opinion is just like an asshole. Everybody's got them. I mean, how many times you don't even get information? Everything's clickbait anymore. You're like, oh, that looks interesting. Click, and it's the exact same thing that you read on the search, and then it's all advertisements.
Dan,
I'm like a broken clock.
No, like Tim's like a broken clock. He's right twice a day.
Yeah.
You're right more often than not.
I found the clickbait. There was one of these things where Matthew McConaughey, at the bottom of one of my news articles, the one vegetable that Matthew McConaughey will not eat. I can save you the 20 minutes of your life and clicking on the early years and the 12 different slides that you click the orange next button. It's tomatoes, everybody. It's just tomatoes. Don't
had
worry.
To know what vegetable. Isn't tomato a fruit?
Yeah. Well, true. You click on the thing and it's like, what's the one? I just want the answer, right? And then you get the Matthew McConaughey was born in such and such and such and such the early years, and he played football here, and he did this there and the other. And the next thing you know, you're 12 pages into it, and you go, I just want to know what vegetable it is. And I mean, it's so bad. And then you get to the end of it, it's like, okay, all right. And then sometimes you don't even get the payoff. Sometimes you just get it to where it cruises into some other Hollywood, new diet craze. I'm like, oh, what is this?
Tomatoes only.
But
tomatoes only. Only
Yep.
tomatoes.
Only tomatoes.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, whatever. Yeah, and I understand what you're saying, and we certainly try to stay away from clickbait. And look, I said at the top of the show after my ramblings that Coop is covering sandwich reviews now. Is it something different? It's something new. I don't think it's clickbait. I think he's trying to have fun with it, and I think it might be a little tongue in cheek as well.
Well, good. I'm glad that they're having fun.
But that's media. That is media now. We put out a cigar review, or we try to once a week. We didn't get one out this week. It's July 4th week. My parents were in town. I'm sure everybody else was busy. We'll get back on schedule next week. I've got a ton of stuff to review. Trust me. But media has just fundamentally changed over the last 10 years. And a lot of it has come to this space. Okay, I'm not. All right.
It's going to show up on the screen anyway.
It's not, because I have to put it up there. Thank Christ.
Oh, okay.
I am not putting that up there, Randy. You can fuck right off. I'm not. Tim and I can see it. Nobody else can. Thank God. Although whoever, like, if people, I guess, on YouTube can see it, you jackass.
Is he on YouTube?
Yeah, he's on. See above. Yeah, that's where it tells me like where they're. Here, because see, if I do this just to show Tim how the technology works, see above, and so see the little play button there. It tells you that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, hey,
nice.
Something new.
That's pretty slick. Slick.
Yeah, it's. I love this. I love this program. Where was I going? Internet and media has changed, and we are media. And Garofalo, for as much as he doesn't want to be media, is media.
He's media.
Yeah.
Walked into an F-bomb. Yeah, well, I mean, there's a lot. It's live, and we are an adult show. We enjoy adult products. And so, I hope that our audience is mature enough to understand that I swear like a sailor most of the time.
I mean, you're a little weak for a sailor, but yeah, continuing on.
Yeah. But media has changed, and I think that it's changed for the better. I think that this does the internet and platforms like ours, podcasts and live shows and things like this, give folks again, good, bad, or indifferent, a platform to kind of let their sorry, I'm reading the next comment, a platform to let their opinions be heard. And I don't think that's a bad idea. The big G is so old media is silent. He's not into talkies. Yeah. So he's talking about Garofalo, from Cigar Authority, Two Guys Cigar Shop, who's a great dude. He just has a different opinion on what media is than what I do. I didn't say it was bad. All right, good. Thank you, Taxes, Taurus. I appreciate that. So yeah, he does have a different sense of what media is, and I think it is very old school. I think it's a very boomer way of looking at it. And as you know, I just got done. My parents were here for the majority of today and yesterday, and so dealing with a couple of boomers, I know how frustrating it could be. You know, and my parents are awesome. They're hilarious. I love them to death. And they get it. Like my dad gets it. He's, you know, I sent him this Saturday Night Live skit of Alexa for old people. And he's like, oh yeah, that's me. That's totally me. I'm like, yeah. So, you know, it's just a different generation, has a different idea of things. And I think being Gen X, I think all three of us are Gen X. We are in that weird space where we know what old school journalism looked like, the Walter Cronkite and things like that, and we know what we're able to grasp and understand because we're young enough, maybe hip enough to know what this new media space is. And this is a media space that I personally have been playing in for 15 years. I think I started a year after I married my wife, so 15 years. And I've been playing in it, and the technology just continues to grow, and I can now push a button and do things like this and bring it right back to this. It's just weird.
I will say this though about the new media and about the new cigar smokers, just from the cigar smokers that are young, that are aging into legal age to smoke cigars. They don't have a reference for what journalism and what media was beforehand, because they all have had iPads or the internet, etc. And it's interesting because whereas when you are trying to make policy and decision making, and they're trying to make legislation and things that affect us and our rights, they're not doing a very good job to package the message into sound bites that are going to keep the attention of the people. And so whereas we want more, and we want more thoughtful representation, and we make the argument from the industry to say, this is an adult product, you shouldn't regulate it the same way that you regulate things like cigarettes and other things. We are competing for the attention span of the masses of people that are coming into this space and becoming, you know, cigar enthusiasts that need it boiled down to 140 characters or whatever the old Twitter/X delivery mechanisms are. Because if they're not in these Facebook reels and TikTok kind of sound bites, it's going to get lost, and they can't comprehend, and they can't digest the message. So it's a challenge for an organization like the PCA or one of the others that's out there. And if whoever is taking that message, they've got to put it in the context that how it affects them in a very, very brief package to be able to keep the attention. Because sitting there and reading through a white paper, or sitting there reading through, and these are the people that are going to become elected, before too long. I mean, I'd like to see some new blood in Congress and in state legislation that are affecting our rights. But over time, these are people that aren't going to sit there, and they're not going to put up with reading through the medical journal and the responses of things. So if we don't make some changes now to be able to protect our rights as cigar smokers, it's going to be very difficult to keep that going. And plus, my kids are of the generation that they were brought up with in the 90s and then the early aughts, where all tobacco is bad.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, we're still dealing. We're definitely bad. Tom, I'm going to get to your comment here in a minute, but yeah, I mean, you're right. We're definitely still dealing with that on a daily basis, where we are. Which, Tim, can you not bring yourself back in? Oh, he can. Okay,
I sure can.
All right, just making sure. We're still dealing with that, where it's we're lumped in with vape, and we're not vape, and we're not cigarettes, and we're not chew, and we're not. It's such a different thing. It is an all natural. When you're talking about premium hand rolled cigars, it is an all natural product. And it's far different nicotine delivery system than anything else out there. I think the closest would be chew, but that's certainly not the best for you. And I'm not saying that this is the healthiest thing for you, but let me get to this comment, because Tom he asked a great question. This is absolutely a fantastic question. Where in cigar media do I go to see what politicians will protect my cigar rights when it's time for me to vote? Simply Stogies, Half Wheel. I don't know that Half Wheel has a list. I don't know.
That's a good question.
I don't know that the PCA has a list. I don't know if anybody has a list. And let me tell you before I get to Randy's comment next. Let me tell you why we don't have a list. And it's a personal thing. It goes into politics, which is something we would desperately do our best to stay away from, outside of how politicians or bureaucrats, in the case of the FDA, affect our ability to smoke cigars. For me personally, I am not a one-issue voter. I'm not a one-issue voter. Whether that issue is cigars or anything else, right, left, middle, I'm not a one. And so for me to put a list out like that would be me telling you who to go vote for, especially if you're a one issue voter and that issue is cigars. And I don't want to do that. Now,
because then you sit there and be like, oh, I like this person because they support my right to cigars, but then all of a sudden, boom, they have another idea, another thing they support, that you don't agree with. So
right.
What does it matter?
Exactly. And like Randy says, Half Wheel does cover what they do on a state level. Now, they're not giving you who to vote for or anything like that, but it's at least there. And Jay Rigged, our friend Jeff Dillingham, which he may or may not be coming on board here. Simply Stogies to write some reviews for us. I'm not saying he is. I'm not saying he isn't, but he probably is. Unfortunately, most politicians will say whatever you want just to hear to get a vote, and that's accurate.
When you're one-on-one.
That's accurate. So that's why we don't put out who's voting for what, like for even for cigars, because I don't want to perpetuate, as somebody a member of the media, perpetuate who you vote for and who you don't, because I don't care. To me, that's your business, right? And there are certainly, I'm sure you can go look at voting records and everything else when it comes to cigars. Maybe the PCA has something like that. That's a good question for Josh. I might email Josh and see if he has anything like that on the website, on the PCA website, if it's available to consumers, whatnot, and kind of go from there. And yeah, just like most shit stirrers will say, whatever inflames the situation. That's exactly it. I mean, again, media, good, bad, or indifferent. Is it good or is it bad? And that's essentially what it comes down to, because you do have shit stirrers in media. You have the people who will say things to inflame. We do our best to stay away from that. We are, I don't even call us a news show, because we're not. We don't cover news. We don't cover what's new outside of maybe doing reviews on new cigars throughout the year. We're more of a educational and infotainment thing. I think I've used that word before, infotainment. We're infotainment. We want to give you information, and we want to be moderately entertaining. I think we're better at the first and not very good at the second. We're not moderately entertaining.
I mean, yeah, I guess. And Randy, you should feel attacked.
So Randy says he feels personally attacked by Dan. Okay, here
There's
we go.
a whole war going on in the chat.
Much love and respect, Randall and Reg. All right, yeah, Dan loves you guys. Dan loves everybody. Dan's such a great dude. I love Dan, and I appreciate his support, listening and watching the show. And we're going to have Dan on. Coming up in the next couple weeks. This next episode of Simply Stogies on the 15th is with West Tampa Tobacco, and we've got Sarah and Rick Rodriguez on. Chef Rick, sous chef Nick is asking Chef Rick some questions, and we find out what Sarah's doing in the industry and what her future plans are and what she's really focused on, which is some really great stuff. And then we'll have to clear the air after that on the 22nd, and then the 1st of August. Yeah, August. That's going to be Al McAuliffe and his daughter Amanda McAuliffe. We're going to have both of them on. I had such a great conversation with them, and I know Nick did too. I can't wait for you guys to see that. But we are going to get Dan on before the end of the year, probably close to when the red releases, September, October. But look, Randy asked earlier, media gave us Pravada Cigar Club, good or bad? Good. It's good. I don't care what people think about about Brian Desmond personally. I really don't. When I had a conversation with him last year, and I certainly want to get him back on the show, he's been nothing but nice to us. He has been fantastic. He has offered his help. He is awesome. And you know what? There is a market for what he does. Not everybody needs to look. It's like politics. Vote for who you like, right? Buy what you like and buy from who you like. If you live in a city, a bigger city, it's not in Iowa. Des Moines has 5 cigar shops. I'm sure that you have a favorite cigar shop in whatever town you're in. How many cigar shops are in Tallahassee, Lou?
Now?
Yeah. 4, 5, 3?
5.
And I'm sure you have a favorite. I don't care what it is because you're a manufacturer,
Yeah.
and I don't want you to say that. But I'm sure everybody has a favorite spot they want to go to. And
Well,
so
I have, we all have every shop has a different vibe, and I think that I've got the one that's close to my house, and it feels like my living room, and it's designed to be that way. There's another lounge that's a little more posh, and it's a little bit more upscale, and yeah, sure. So every and then there's another one that if you're looking for grab and go, that's not to sit and smoke. So there's different characters at each place, and that's what makes the cigar industry so great in terms of the variety that's out there. Not everybody likes my cigars, and that's fine, but I enjoy smoking a lot of stuff myself. I'm a consumer first, and so I always relate and take the tack that there's a reason why that the humidors are full with many different brands out there, and it has to do with the fact that there's many different kinds of people.
absolutely.
So
100%. And I guess that's what we're discussing, Tom. Is it relevant information if we're going to discuss political events? Are we going to cover a political event? The PCA understands, and this was made abundantly clear before Scott Pierce left, and I think that Joshua Habersky is carrying that on, is that tobacco as a whole, and certainly the premium tobacco industry, premium hand-rolled cigar industry, is very limited on where they can get their message out. And so guys like what we do, we're able to get that message out for them, and we do it for them for free.
Yep.
And so to invite us to these events, in my mind, just makes sense. But also in my mind, I'm trying to figure out, well, yeah, like, should we cover it? Like what are we going to get out of it? Because who would I talk to? Would I talk to, whatever Republicans or Democrats are at each one of these events and talk to them about how important it is for them to fight against the FDA and make sure that our rights aren't being trampled as cigar smokers? Well, what are they going to tell us? What are they going to tell us? I mean, we can come back up here to one of the comments we got earlier, and they're just going to say,
whatever you want to hear,
whatever you want to. Yeah,
but not when there's lobbying involved, and you have no lobbying power as Simply Stogies. You have a connection. You have a connection to people that are cigar smokers. I mean, your podcast is aimed at the consumer to deliver information and to open a dialogue about cigars to the consumer, as well as connect manufacturers to those consumers. And you can also be a connection to the organization so that they can take a digest of your feedback from your listeners and watchers, or whatever, the subscribers, whatever you want to call them. And they can use that in their lobbying efforts. I think that's very, very powerful. I mean, I think that you're not going to be directly connecting to politicians because they're going to toe whatever line, that they think you want to hear. But if they have a true lobbying entity at the PCA, which they do, or the CRA, it is their job to get feedback from their constituents. And you are providing another vehicle to connect with constituents that is very, very powerful, because they can't hear every single message.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree, and Dan, I think agrees with you. You have an audience, you can activate. And yes, you're influential and even powerful. Those are two words, Dan, that have never once been associated with me.
I can see
That's
James'
funny.
ego growing.
It's not true.
That's-
I don't have an ego here.
That's no.
Nobody. I don't think we have.
You're discounting your ability to connect with people and the other people in the podcast, whether it be Coop or Half Wheel. I don't know how much interaction they have, but they're much more of a delivery of information. Whereas Coop and has feedback, but you actually have a platform that you interact with your members, and that's kind of unique in the industry in this space. I mean, there are a couple other podcasts that it's not just you guys talking the whole time. You are connecting with manufacturers, you're connecting with consumers. Your LE members have a voice. You give them a platform to be able to give feedback. You've got a Discord. You've got these lives that happen once a month. It's invaluable to have that direct feedback to people. Don't discount that.
Yeah, I just discount my actual I have no power or influence at all. It's a small industry. Activating people makes a huge 100%, Dan. It does.
Yep.
I think we do. Jeff says he agrees that it's easier for a lobbying group to vet a politician. Money does talk 100%. Money does talk. Sure. Money also allows us to have new graphics. But I just don't know how much influence we have. And when you look at the amount of traffic we get to our website, and I'm not going to give you guys hard numbers because it doesn't matter. How much traffic we get to our website compared to how much traffic some of these others get to their websites, we're pretty comparable. And we've only been around 5 years now. Started in 2019, before the pandemic, continued through. And in the last 24 months, we have grown leaps and bounds. And I'm very grateful for that. I am humbled by that. I just don't think we have. I don't know how much we can actually activate people. I think the people who Dan's talking about activating are already active. If they're watching us, if they're listening to us, if they're supporting us by watching us or listening to us, if they're supporting us by sharing us with their friends, with their friends who are cigar smokers, if they're part of the LE club and they're supporting us monetarily, by giving us money every month or in one chunk, every year, $100 a year, $200 a year, $300 a year, $500 a year, whatever it is. And their support, they're active. So how much influence do I really have on somebody who's already active? I think where the impact is made is in new cigar smokers. And we talked with, if you go and you listen to the latest episode with Miguel Shodell from Crown Heads, and he talked about the impact of technology on the cigar industry and specifically on cigar consumers. Cigar consumers are more informed now than they ever have been. And some of that's due to what guys like myself do and Coop do and Charlie does on a high level, Coop does on a high level, and Matthew Tobacco over at Smoking Tobacco. The list goes on. Joe Fiatoa, Evil Empire Cigar Society on Instagram. There are just a lot of people in this space that have an audience that are able to give out a lot of information. And you know what? The new folks who are coming into the industry, we talked about, my parents being boomers earlier, and we talked about Garofalo kind of being a boomer and media is silent. He wasn't silent movies, whatever he says that's kind of self-deprecating. It's different now. And so these younger cigar smokers who are coming in, who are in their late 20s, early 30s, this is how they consume all of their media, all of their journalism is through stuff like this. And so it's a much different space. And it's a much different delivery system. And so those are the ones that are activated, and they're already activated because they're in it and they're in the weeds. They're the cigar geeks, the cigar nerds. They're the people who love it. And Dan says, okay, James, stop it. It's your duty to educate and activate people in your audience, grasp the responsibility. I have no responsibility here whatsoever, Dan. cigar-based scrotum. I don't know what that means, but thanks, Randy, for your
it's Randy.
always salient input. It's not about input; it's about simply relevant.
That's true,
and that's true. That is a very good point, Tom. It is definitely about relevant information, and maybe it is relevant information. Maybe it's something I should look into putting together a list state by state. You know what? Maybe this is something we should reach out to Half Wheel and maybe do it in
collaboration.
Yeah, collaboration. We put that out. The both of us put that out.
That would be cool.
I just don't want it to become something where it's I don't like single issue voters, and I don't want to make it look like I'm perpetuating.
Well, no, I think you can do it where, maybe you're just going out there, you're maybe we can stream the event and then you do commentary on it. What's our thoughts? What's our opinions on what is happening, what is being said? It's not much different than what the local news network does on anything.
Yeah, no, I mean, I guess it's not at all. Dan makes a good point about the people in the industry. However, I feel the uphill battle is bringing the message of the right to smoke cigars to the non-cigar smoker. Well, that's always the battle, Jeff. And a lot of that's education. And again, I think shows like mine, like Coops, what Half Wheel does, it is education. Smoking Tobacco, Evil Empire Cigar Society, it is education. We're trying to educate folks, and we hope that out of all the people that watch this, whether it's live or I don't know how the software works, so I don't know if this is going to stay up there, but like it'd be kind of evergreen out there on these platforms. But if it is, if they watch later, we hope we do catch a non-cigar smoker who's like, oh, well, this is interesting. Okay. Yeah, I can kind of, I understand what they're saying about what they're saying, what they're, not activated, politically inform, and teach, take action. Yeah, 100%, Dan. I understand that. All right, good. We got a thumbs up from Tom. I think Tom understands where I'm coming from. The Chevron. See, so this is a great segue. Thank you, Dan, for the segue. The Chevron case being overturned means now is the time to be vocal and get our rights back. So if you're not aware, as we switch gears here from the job of media and what media is in this cigar space, to the Supreme Court ruling earlier this week. I think it was earlier this week, or maybe it was late last week, that they overturned the Chevron deference. Anybody, like, do the two of you, either one of you, know what that means?
Nope.
Tell us, James.
I don't. I was hoping one of you knew.
That was a dumb question to ask.
Yeah, I don't. Basically, what they've done is they've nerfed all of the alphabet soup of fucking regulators. That's all they've done. They've nerfed them. They're not going away. They haven't taken away all their power. But like Dan said, now's the time to be vocal because they are nerfed and they don't have nearly the reach that they did 2 weeks ago. Let me look it up real quick on the Google machine so I can give everybody a good kind of starting place for this Chevron deference. The scope of the Chevron deference doctrine was when a legislative delegation to an administrative agency on a particular issue or question was not explicit, but rather implicit. A court may not substitute its own interpretation of the statute for a reasonable interpretation made by the administrative agency. So last week, the court's conservative majority overturned a 40-year-old legal doctrine known as the Chevron deference, which stems from a 1984 ruling involving the energy firm. The 6-3 decision ended a legal precedent that allowed courts to defer to an agency's reasonable reading of the law where it's unclear. So essentially what it did is it took away this gray area where this alphabet soup of bureaucracy was able to interpret the law the way they wanted to interpret it, instead of interpreting it explicitly the way that it was written. If I am correct. So let's see.
Which is the element of the court system is the one to make the judgment, not an agency.
Right. A Chevron ruling states Congress is responsible for the laws, not the regulators. That's a mostly true summary. Okay. I guess mine was mostly.
You know what scared me was that 1980 84 was a 40-year-old that was 40 years ago. That was scarier than the legislation to me. That was what stood out, was the fact that was 40 years ago. Boy, that doesn't feel like it. Good gracious.
I
was waiting for you to say like 1960 or something, 1972, and then like 1984. I'm like, I remember that year. That's something actually that makes me feel really old, James. Holy cow.
My niece is 23 years old. 16 years ago when my wife and I got married, she was the flower girl in our wedding, and now my daughter is the flower girl in her wedding.
That's pretty great.
I feel fucking old. But yeah, so
that's good that so FDA, they've already kind of nerfed them, and they filed in favor of the cigar industry. They kick the can down the field, and now we get a situation where the courts and the legislative body will write the laws, and the courts can determine whether or not the laws are to be upheld or need to be changed or whatever. And we don't have to necessarily, the regulators are beholden to the court ruling on things.
Right. Well, yeah, it's the way that the laws are written. So they have to interpret it the way the laws are written and not kind of try to figure out what the spirit of the law is. Instead, it's the letter of the law. It would not be hard. A simple list of pro and anti bills, detail who sponsored and co-sponsored. Okay, so Randy's going back to putting together this list of yeah, okay, it wouldn't be hard.
Sounds like a good task for Randy.
It does sound like a great task for Randy. If I give it to him, though, it'll never get done. Although he has helped out with some things that we'll talk about here a little bit later, with the trade show next year in April in New Orleans. Oh, yeah. But yeah, so I think this is a good thing overall. I like it. We are we are a constitutional republic. We are not a democracy, as much as people want to say we're a democracy. We're not. We are a constitutional republic. We elect leaders to rule over us. That's what we do. All right. Oh, wait. Now you're catching on, James. Yeah. See, if I give it to Randy, it won't get done. Now I'm catching on. I finally figured it out. I understood the assignment, Randy. So as a constitutional republic, we elect these leaders to write these laws, Congress, Senate, and then we elect, the president, the executive branch, and he appoints based on, we elected him. So he's going to put people in the executive branch that will interpret the laws that, in the way that helps his party out, whether it's left or right, conservative, liberal, however you want to look at it. That's what we have done. This is why we have the Electoral College, and it's not majority rules. Okay, that way it's equitable. Everyone's voice is heard equally. That way, large states can't bully small states into doing what the large states wants to do. Which is why we have the Electoral College. So for us to have these bureaucracies that are filled with bureaucrats that are not elected, and they make determinations for us and could, through this Chevron deference, basically interpret the law that they want, the way they want it interpreted. It takes away it literally strips away what Congress is trying to do, and it gives all the power to the bureaucrats. This takes away the power of the bureaucrats. So how is this going to help the cigar industry? Well, the FDA is nothing but a bunch of unelected bureaucrats that sit around and try to determine what's best for us. When we didn't elect them to do that, they're put in power. They are put in those positions by people that we elect. So this takes away that kind of loophole that they had. Now they have to interpret the law the way it is written, and not the courts and the legal system will not give them deference.
The law. They don't get to interpret.
They're not. They're no longer looked at as the experts on these things. Because let's just be honest. We talked about it earlier. We always say that we get lumped in with cigarettes. We get lumped in with vape. We get lumped in with chew. We get lumped in with all of these things, and we're not. It is a totally 100% natural, organic, as I ash all over, handmade product that is absolutely, it's the antithesis of anything, of everything that a cigarette is.
And vape.
And vape is just, I'm ambivalent towards vape. I don't know what the long-term effects are. I don't think anybody does. And it hasn't been around long enough to study the long-term effects that vape has on the lungs or anything. There's short-term studies that you can go look at. and I'm not an expert, but I certainly would not look at what the FDA wants to do because they look at everything through the lens of regulation. How can we regulate this? And how can we make money off this? Dan says the FDA pays for research supporting their point of view. Then they make the rules based on their pay. Yeah, that's exactly it. Because again, it is how can we make money off this? How can we regulate this? And we don't vote people into office to tell us what we can and can't do. They tried that in prohibition and it didn't work. But James, the government is there to protect us from ourselves. Man. That is hilarious. The FDA should go work on the sugar crisis. Tony the Tiger's a gangster killing kids. I 100% agree. Like, if you want to talk about a crisis in the nation, as a fat guy, obesity is killing the nation. We have a diabetic epidemic in this country. That's what we should be talking about. That's
but obesity makes money. Tobacco doesn't make money.
I mean,
there's some people, but
does tobacco make money? I don't know. I think
not compared to the sugar injections. Everything's got sugar.
Jeff agrees with Dan. The government put seatbelts in cars and took the ashtrays out. Have you guys seen this video going around? And look, I don't think that money. Look, I don't. I pay a lot. See, look, Dan says he pays a lot of taxes, so there is money in tobacco. McDonald's makes money. Look, that's what Randy said. McDonald's makes money. Look, have you guys seen this video of when they first started regulating that you had to wear a seatbelt? They made this law. It's going to save lives. It's going to save lives. Or even when you look at these videos, and people are upset they got to wear seatbelts. Well, even before that, when they made drinking and driving illegal, people were pissed about that. There is something to be said about the government looking out for the greater good of folks. 100%. But more people die in a car crash than they do from smoking cigars. That's just a fact. Hashtag facts. Like that's 100%. This is not a problem. On tobacco, remember, every cigar has almost 50 cents tax to the federal. Right. Well, I mean, if they regulate this out of existence, they're taking money out of their pocket at the end of the day. And Randy says, preach on, brother Dan. Like, Dan, have you thought about having a podcast? You should probably do one, man. And just talk about.
We're looking for a replacement for James.
Come take over my job.
Or me. I mean,
Dan is very savvy when it comes to business, when it comes to regulation, when it comes to government. He's very passionate about it. I mean, he's down in Texas. Texans take government seriously. Because
they do.
Probably because they want to secede from the.
Dan is a podcast.
Like, if they ever do secede, I'm moving to Texas. Just FYI, Dan is a podcast. He could be. Dan's a wealth of information. He's a very passionate guy. He's a very knowledgeable guy, very informed on these things. And I'm lucky enough to call him friend. And I'm friends with him on Facebook. And so, when he comments on things, I get to see his comments. And so I know where Dan stands on things. And Dan's not shy about where he stands on things. I don't think anybody should be. I think if you believe in something, you should be able to stand up and say, this is where I believe. Draw that line in the sand, so to speak. What did Dan say there? I like attending podcasts, especially on other people, so I can talk about gangsters like Tony the Tiger. Yeah, fuck Tony the Tiger. I don't even like. When was the last time you guys ate a kid's cereal? Tim, when was the last time you ate a sugary kid's cereal?
So long ago, I can't even remember.
Lou?
I eat granola. I got to go with the fiber, man. I crossed that threshold. My kids, they don't even eat that stuff anymore. They've all been pumped with the, live forever. So they're all eating Mueslix and stuff. Every now and then they'll eat some Cheerios. Is that a kid cereal? I mean, I guess that they'll eat some Cheerios.
My kid got Captain Crunch Berry something or another.
Oh no!
I had a tiny bowl of that.
So
recently,
I can't eat it because my dad, when I was a kid, my dad collected baseball cards. We all my brother and I, my younger brother and I, we collected baseball cards. And so what we did was we would collect baseball cards in the 80s. And at one time, whoever makes Captain Crunch had a series of baseball cards that you could only get in the boxes of Captain Crunch. And so whereas we never got sugary cereal as a kid, we rarely ever got sugar cereal. We would get, like, instead of Captain Crunch, we get like King Vitamin. We got all the generic multi-meal bag cereal. That's all we got if we were lucky enough to get something that wasn't. My dad like bought all brand and just terrible cereal. So cereal wasn't a big thing. I do like cereal a lot, but so he one year, it was like, I don't know, 84, 83, 84. He found out that Captain Crunch had these baseball cards. So he went to every store in town and bought every box of Captain Crunch, Crunch Berries, Peanut Butter Crunch, all Crunch Berries, regular Captain Crunch. And that Captain Crunch will destroy the roof of your mouth. It is the worst cereal. Well, we had to eat Captain Crunch. I swear it was for a year so that he could get his baseball cards to build his set. So he built a couple sets out of the Enterprise, that, you know, what was going on. But I can't eat Captain Crunch ever again, or any variant of Captain Crunch, because of that. But I still have the set of baseball cards that he made out of the box, because it's one of those childhood traumas that it's like, you want your kid to stop eating Captain Crunch, make him eat about 12, 13, 14 boxes of Captain Crunch. They'll never eat it again.
I completely forgot about how much Captain Crunch will just ruin the hell out of the roof of your mouth.
Yeah.
What was it? What was that King cereal? I've never heard
King
of
Vitamin. That's
King Vitamin. Never heard of it.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. King Vitamin. It was the generic. They were shaped like stars. They looked like Captain Crunch, but they were not. It had no flavor. It was like eating just sawdust that was pressed into these shapes, and it tore. It was even worse. It was just like razor blades. And we didn't get like regular Oreo cookies. We got Hydrox, which is they look like Oreo cookies, but they do not taste like Oreo cookies. So yeah.
There were a lot of promos back in the day with sports cards. This must have been before my time. I've never heard of that.
Tobacco. There used to be tobacco cards. I have a few tobacco cards from back in the day. Yeah, that were back, like Honus Wagner's one of the most expensive baseball cards you can ever get, because they were in the tobacco canisters. They would come with a ball card for the ball players back at the turn of the century.
Rodney says, y'all are soft if Captain Crunch ruins your mouth.
Well, you can let it get soggy. You can let it get soggy.
Yeah, I couldn't do that. There ain't a chance in hell.
Yep.
So for anybody who's there he is. He's coming back right now. He's almost here. Don't worry.
Whatever.
We were just having cereal wars.
Yeah.
Cereal war? Yeah. All right.
So as an LE member, I don't know if there's any. Are you able to see if anybody's like hanging out in the backstage on this program? If there's anybody that has joined, or
Nimmer joined for a hot second, and I was going to bring him in, but I didn't know if he wanted his camera on.
He was in and out real quick.
He was in and out real quick.
But maybe talk just at the hour break here, how other LE members that are out there can participate, because this is a new interface.
It's a brand new interface. If you're an LE Club member, just check your email. Tim sent an email out. There should be a link. Just open it up in Google Chrome. It would be the preferred way to do it. And you can join the conversation. Just have your mic on and your video on, and we can bring you in anytime you want if you're an LE Club member. Look, and if you're a member of the Simply Stogies Club team, or Simply Stogies team, I guess I should say, you can absolutely join as well. Just check your email. You should have got the same email they did, and you can join as well. I see you guys went all over the place. You're talking about Hydrox is actually older than Oreos. Jesus Christ, you guys really went down the sugar rabbit hole.
Yeah, I didn't know that, but
I said, well, I got diabetes now.
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. Let's welcome to the show my friend,
here we go. This guy,
content director, and bad idea fairy, Randall.
I don't know what to do with my hands.
Yeah, here we go. There it is. 100%. Look, while we're here at the hour break, before we move on, I just want to remind you real quick, guys, July 26th, if you're in the Tallahassee area, Fuma Cigar Social, we'll be there for the launch party for Valakari Cigars Astronomia release. That's going to be a good time. I'm looking forward to that. That's going to be July 26th. And I think that is later in the evening. 4, I think is when it starts, 4 or 5. We'll have more details later on. We'll share those on social media as we get a little bit closer. And then the next day, if you're anywhere near Enterprise, Alabama, make the trip to Boll Weevil. We're going to be going live there from Boll Weevil on July 27th for the Mean Gene launch party from Lure Cigars. Me and Lou will be hanging out, doing some stuff. It'll all be live, so you can catch us. You can catch us everywhere you're watching us now: Facebook, Instagram, X, Rumble, Facebook, YouTube, wherever. It'll be a lot of fun. So make sure you check that out. And then I just want to remind you guys, look, it's July. Go buy cigars. Buy them now. Get reward points from smallbatchcigar.com. Spend those points in December, Christmas in July. Go to smallbatchcigar.com. Use coupon code Stogies. Enjoy 10% off your purchase plus an extra 5% reward points. And they've got everything. They got Valakari. Go check out the Astronomia pre-release. They just actually, like today, the Davidoff, the new Davidoff Grand Cru Diadema is shipping from them. I think I picked up the Fiat Lux Tenebris. I picked up a couple things. I just bought another $500 worth of stuff from them today. Go check it out. Smallbatchcigar.com. Use coupon code Stogies. All right. So done chilling. Let's see. We've talked about the PCA and Joshua Bursky. Again, congratulations to him as I knocked things over on my desk. We nerfing the FDA. Let's talk about STG buying pipe tobacco. That sounds like something that'll be fun to talk about for about 10 minutes. STG has been buying anyone and everyone for the last few years, from Room 101 to Alec Bradley, and now they bought this pipe tobacco company. Are they just going to keep buying stuff? And is this good or bad for the industry? Let's start with Tim. Go.
Well, why? No,
well, because because I want to know what you think.
I mean, if you have money, what are you going to do? You're going to buy stuff. So yeah, you're going to buy it. Is it bad for the industry? I don't know. Pipe tobacco is just another form, another way to smoke cigar tobacco, right? It's not all chemically induced like cigarettes or chew. So why can't the two coexist if that's the case?
I don't know what you're trying to say there. I don't care that it's a pipe that they bought pipe tobacco. It's that they're buying everything.
Okay,
and is
fine.
that good or bad for the industry? Do we need STG to be the next tobacco conglomerate? Randy, what are your thoughts?
As a company, if you're not growing, you're dying. So it's probably, I'm sure it's good for them, but it's probably a double-edged sword. You're going to lose some smaller companies, but they might also, if they acquire some smaller companies, they might give them access to tobaccos and open doors that those companies wouldn't have.
Yeah. Dan says the MBA school taught me if you're not hitting your growth numbers organically, buy someone. The debt is the next leader's problem.
And that's not some Phoenix MBA shit there either.
No, that's like high level.
That's a real one.
That's a real. He's got a real degree from a real school, not some online bullshit. No, and that's very smart. Go ahead, Lou.
I'll weigh in from a manufacturer standpoint. I'm so micro brand that it's not ever in the mindset to grow in a sense to be attractive enough for a large tobacco company to buy you out. But we have seen several other boutique cigar brands that have grown and that have then sold to the larger Forged, STG, etc., larger tobacco companies. And Randy's comment about having access to different tobacco and sourcing things. As a consumer, I love the fact that boutique cigars are smaller. They have higher quality control in most cases. They have more interesting blends when it comes to the cigars because it's usually there's some effort to put in to the cigar. Not all of the small companies are. Sometimes the people are buying out of a catalog or they're buying just, whatever bundle cigar and putting a band on it. I don't appreciate that from a consumer standpoint. But the ones that are really trying to grow and they're really trying to do something interesting, and that you reach a point in which you cannot grow anymore, you don't have access to things, that by going and partnering with and then eventually getting bought out by a larger conglomerate, I think it's good as long as that there's some effort to maintain some quality there in both the construction and also the blends and things that are produced. We have seen that from a consumer standpoint, however, that when these boutique companies grow beyond the whatever the threshold is, boutique, to becoming I don't know what's the term, that's on the other side of boutique. When they grow beyond that point, that some of the character and some of the interesting things that were happening when they were a boutique company get lost. We saw it with Drew Estate. They're doing great things. They're doing amazing things. That's wonderful, but they're not the same cigars that they were 15 years ago. We've seen it with, I think that Room 101, and I think Matt Booth, he still kind of has a hand in what's going on. I hope that his interesting cigars get to continue to be made and things happen with that. Caldwell is now, Caldwell's got a lot of interesting things, and they were all establishment. They were kind of a rebel when they came through and did things. Tatuaje's grown. I'm a big Tatuaje fan, but are the cigars going to be able to maintain that edge that they had before when they've grown to the point where they're well beyond the boutique threshold? Is it a good thing? It could be, it can be, and it's all about what gets left behind. I think I don't drink beer that much, but I smoke cigars with a lot of guys who brew their own beer, and they drink a lot of beer. And you see what has happened when InBev, and before that Anheuser-Busch, bought a lot of the microbrews. Well, the microbrews had such character and so amazing. One of those is Cigar City Brewing that's out of Tampa. Well, they basically fired all of the creative staff in that, and they've moved the brewery to where they have moved the whole operation outside of the context of where it was. And is the beer going to continue to be interesting and going to be good, or is it not? I don't know.
And I guess that's my major concern is the quality. Is the quality going to be there in these smaller brands that they're picking up in kind of now mass producing? I don't know. And as JR said, this is why I left here. J Rig said, STG strategies is up for interpretation, and I'm not really sure what it is, what their strategy is, other than trying to up their bottom line and grow without having organic growth, like Dan said. And Dan said, on a more balanced note, STG's acquisition also produces and sells nicotine pouches with the brands Ace and Grit. And I'm not sure that's good for premium hand-rolled cigars. This was my big issue with the TPE, is that the TPE was not and is not a solely premium handmade hand-rolled cigars. That's not what they do. And so we always say we're not like the rest of the tobacco producers. We're not like the rest of the tobacco companies out there. We are premium hand-rolled cigars. We're an all-natural product. Like down the line, right? We have our talking points. But then we throw our hat in the ring with the TPE, who is vape and cigarettes and everything else that we try to stay away from. So when we do that as an industry, and I'm not saying if you go to TPE, you're doing a bad thing. It's not what I'm saying. That's up to you and your business and your philosophy. What I'm saying is overall, I think that hurts the cigar industry. And I feel like when they buy these companies that produce these pouches, like Dan said, again, you're muddying up the waters, and it's harder for them to say, well, we're different, right? And we always talk about we always talk about Drew Estate and what would they do if all of a sudden the FDA comes out, which they probably can't now because of this Chevron deference. But they came out and said, hey, no more flavored cigars, because that's where a majority of their profit margin comes from, are these flavored cigars. What do? I don't know. Randy says, commented instead of saying it here live, so you don't like Drew Estate's infused cigars, hey? They go away, Drew Estate died. He was just, that's the point I'm trying to make. We always say, what would happen to them? And that's not a premium hand-rolled cigar. It's made by a company that makes premium hand-rolled cigars, but they're not premium hand-rolled cigars. The nicotine pouch is the growth market right now. They are the growth market. Look, when you watch podcasts like Two Bears, One Cave with Bert Kreischer and Tom Segura, that's all they're talking about, is these stupid pouches they're putting in their mouth.
I think STG owns that what is it, the Zen brand? Yeah, I think they own that as well, and that's all you hear about nowadays. Yeah,
it honestly is, and I understand that. Look, they're obviously looking at the market, and they're more concerned with the bottom line. And this is where, again, I make the delineation between companies like STG and Altadas and these smaller boutique brands. And when I say boutique, I don't necessarily mean anything other than quality over quantity. That's why when I look at a company like Crown Heads, I go, they're boutique. When I look at a company like Tatuaje, they're boutique. When I look at a company like Valakari and Lure, they're boutique. When I look at a company like McAuliffe, they're boutique. It's quality over quantity. It's wanting to do things the right way and doing it not just for the bottom line. Obviously, nobody goes into business to lose money, but they're doing it for the love and the passion that they have for cigars. And when you have these large conglomerates like STG and Altadas that are just buying up these smaller companies, and look, I don't begrudge Boothie, and I don't begrudge Alan Rubin selling these companies for millions of dollars. I don't begrudge him. I would, look, somebody wants to buy his Simply Stogies podcast, like, look, $350 right now.
Name a company that STG has adversely affected.
Zyn is owned by Philip Morris.
I think STG owns like 90% of Philip Morris now, though. Dan,
do they really?
I think so. They were trying. I think they tried to buy them and they couldn't, so they bought the majority of their stock, I think. Wow. You don't want to sell to us? Okay, we'll just buy you.
We'll just buy you.
Buy you under the table. But,
hostile takeover.
But no, name one that or Swedish Match, or whatever you want to call them.
Scandinavian Tobacco Company?
Yeah, them guys.
Group?
Yeah, whoever.
Yeah.
That they've affected negatively. Everybody sees large corporations as this big evil thing, but they can be benevolent benefactors too. They can let Booth do his thing, or let the Rubin boys do their thing. My question is, which one have they negatively affected?
I don't talk bad.
Are we? Well, some of them were bad to start with.
Well, I'm not here to say who's bad, who's not, Randy. That's not what I do. As long as it doesn't rhyme with Furka.
Do you even know what a Merkin is?
I said Furka. Furka.
Okay.
Jesus, did I have to just say Gurkha? I think I just did. All I'm saying is I understand what you're saying, that they can be these benevolent large companies that help these guys. And look, there's an argument to be made about that. Chef Rick has said before that he went from this large corporate kitchen with CAO where he could, pick and choose whatever tobaccos he wanted from wherever he wanted, and they had the buying power and this, that, and the other, to cooking at home and just trying to source the ingredients himself. And there's a dichotomy there. 100%. And I guess my question isn't, are they helping or hurting the small companies they're buying? Because I think if you ask the owners who made millions of dollars off the sale, they're going to be, oh, that was great. As they sip a mojito on the beach. And I don't begrudge them that. Overall, do they help or hurt the industry? I don't see how taking away, as Lou put it, the character of these small, essentially, micro brands, taking away that character and stripping it down, and basically it's a shell of what it was, and now it's just you're selling the name. And I'm not saying that that's what happened. I have not smoked. I'll be honest. I haven't smoked anything from Room 101 since the sale. And I haven't smoked anything from Alec Bradley since the sale.
I haven't smoked Alec Bradley since the sale, but I have smoked the Daikuku from Luxury, which is new. It's post-sale from Room 101. I've smoked the Red Rocket from Sir Louis Cigars, and they're good smokes. I mean, I don't smoke a lot of Room 101, but always interested to smoke new stuff. And both of those cigars perform well. They're well constructed. They're very good looking cigars. And I think that, it gives me, it's encouraging to see that happen. And for Booth to still be there. He was president at PCA. From your coverage, I was able to see that he was still there and still, his character isn't changing. And the cigars are being produced. So I'm encouraged by that from that standpoint. But it goes back to when Swisher bought Drew Estate. I used to smoke a lot of Liga, and those cigars just aren't what they used to be. And I don't know if it's because of the quantities and the demand is so high that it's hard to produce that. But from a consumer standpoint, that's an evidence. I can't speak to SDG's influence, but Drew Estate cigars that have come out just aren't as sharp as they used to be.
Well, they lost some leadership there. And I got to apologize to Dan. I'm a dyslexic left-hander, and I had it backwards. It was when because I was like, is that right? And I Googled it, and it was Philip Morris bought enough of Swedish Match that they delisted the company. Sorry, Dan. Oh, see, he was typing. Yeah. But, yeah, sorry. Like I said, left-handed dyslexic. I get it wrong most of the time.
I guess, look, and Dillingham asked, didn't Matt Booth keep creative control of the brand even though he sold them out? Maybe. I don't.
They're not going to say they didn't.
Right. I don't think anybody would.
Yeah, that would.
I mean, look, you still got there was a Alec Bradley event in Lincoln, Nebraska, and Bradley was there. So they're certainly still involved. But how involved are they? Publicly, they might say one thing, and behind closed doors, it's another. I don't know. You have to take them at face value. My question is ultimately this, and I think Dan. I was going to ask if Dan was still watching. He obviously still is. He might be in a better position to answer this than anybody else. I think, Lou, you could probably answer it as well. But these larger companies, when you have so much and you're so diversified and you're not just doing premium hand-rolled cigars, but you're doing all of these other things, nicotine pouches, pipe tobacco, flavored cigars, whatever it might be. At the end of the day, is that agenda the same agenda that boutique cigar companies have, or even these larger companies that are just solely making premium hand-rolled cigars? Politically, from that, because we've been talking about that a lot tonight, from that perspective, through that lens, do those companies have the same agenda as the rest of the premium hand-rolled cigar industry?
Well,
they have their agendas to make money, especially Swedish STG. They're a publicly owned corporation with a board, and if you're in charge of Forged and you're not making money, they're going to ask you why, and you're going to say, I roll shit cigars that nobody smokes, and they're going to say, roll better cigars or go away. That's how that conversation should go. It'll probably be a little nicer than that. But I have something to interject here. How, and I didn't even think of this at the time, but are you guys aware of the recent striking down of non-compete clauses?
I did see that.
How is that going to affect the consolidation and growth and guys stepping out on their own?
Well, I feel like that's going to help it. I think when you have guys like Hamlet, who, look, we could take this back to Tim Osgener. right? And when he left CAO and he had a non-compete clause for 10 years and he left the industry for 10 years and now he's back. He went to make his name in Hollywood and do his thing and become a comedian. And now he's back and he's rolling cigars and doing that. So I think it only helps the industry because now you can have blenders who may have signed non-compete clauses 10, 15 years ago. They're null and void now. They can leave the company whenever they want. They can go start their own company. They can go work for somebody else. And I think that keeps the industry competitive. Dan says a family-owned premium cigar manufacturer is super focused on retailers, the consumers, and consumers who enjoy premium cigars. Right? That's what sets
McAuliffe apart from the rest. They're different in that way.
Well, and I think Valakari and I think Lure and I think Crown Heads. The list goes on. There are a lot of companies that are hyper focused on the consumer and on their consumer specifically, and they're trying to make a better product for all of them. And nobody gets into the business to not make money, right?
That was pretty much what Skip from Romacraft was saying.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to grow, and he just wants to make great cigars for his consumers.
And I think if you can make a comfortable, and I think that's kind of where we kind of the heart of it is if you are a manufacturer that is family owned, you're smaller, you're boutique, whatever you want to call it, and you're hyper focused on that, and you can make a comfortable living for you and your family, and you're putting a roof over your kids' heads, and you're giving them a good education, and there's food on the table. It's not necessarily the bottom line that matters to you, because the bottom line is certainly providing enough for you, and you're able to continue to make great cigars. It's on a different scale, like Dan said. Richard Beard Jr. says McAuliffe is an awesome company. Customer-focused companies are the way it should be. And I don't think, and let me say this, I don't think the STG is not customer-focused. But I think, like Randy said earlier, they have a board. They're beholden to the board, right? And
the
they
shareholder,
the shareholder, they have to make decisions that are best for the bottom line and not necessarily best in the case of let's put out the best cigar we can make. Because let's be honest, the three of us here, because I know I see that Tim's backstage doing whatever Tim's doing backstage. He can come back on stage whenever he'd like. And I see that Nimmer Ahmad's here and he's back. He's actually on stage and he's listening. But when was the last time, Randy, I'll ask you specifically because you're not in the industry, so I'm just going to get rid of, I'm going to put the full sole focus on you. When was the last time you smoked a Cohiba or a Monte Cristo or a Bolivar or a Trinidad or any of these other legacy brands and went, God damn, that's a great cigar? Yeah, that's kind of what I thought. Crickets. He either froze or he was like, nope, I'm not answering that. And he bounced. I don't know. It looks like he may have froze. I don't know, but I mean, I can answer that. The last one was the Macanudo Emissary. I went, holy shit, that's a really good cigar. We are not different in many ways. Rocky, Fuente, Padron, Perdomo's example. I agree. I don't think that those are the companies I'm talking about, Dan. Grateful because they forged the way. The companies I'm talking about specifically are STG and Altadas. Those are conglomerates. I wouldn't say Rocky, Fuente, Padron, or Perdomo are anything like them. They may have helped forge the way, and they're certainly big names in the industry, and they do massive amounts of sales. But I think that ultimately, at the end of the day, they're family owned and they're hyper focused on their consumer base. I honestly believe
when you go from the people that are making decisions about their company that are internal to the company to a publicly traded company, then it gets to the point where you can go buy shares in Altadis or an STG. Can you not go out and buy publicly traded shares? I don't know that for a fact, but my perception is that these large conglomerates, it's just like the interest in corporate interest that is, they are making decisions going back to the beginning of the conversation tonight, where corporations are influencing legislation. And they are doing it what's in the best interest of the shareholder, not necessarily what's in the best interest of the citizen, the average citizen. And so, we're all governed by the laws that get made by corporate interest. Well, if we're going to be smoking cigars that are basically governed by the decisions that are being made by conglomerates, that could change dramatically because, tobacco costs have gone up, the labor costs have gone up in these other countries, and we're also smoking cigars that primarily are rolled outside of the United States. These, so there's this international component to the whole thing where the dynamics that are happening in Nicaragua, Honduras, Dominican Republic, Cuba, in terms of Cuban cigars, we've seen what happens when that whole dynamic changes by who has the ownership interest and what the interest is. They're making changes in the industry that, we're having to adjust to as manufacturers in the United States to import those products to then sell to consumers. I'm navigating on a much smaller scale, but at the same time, I'm affected by decisions that are being made that are way outside of my control. I have very little influence. I mean, the only people that have influence are those that have purchasing power. And at the end of the day, it's money.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And I want to go back, and I just want to say quickly that the emissary from Macanudo is something different from Macanudo, and I really enjoy it. Look for a review coming about that cigar soon. I really do think but that is the first in my 6 years of smoking cigars where I've been like, yeah, finally they put something out. Now I'm not saying like the Cohibas are fine. They're fine. They're fine. In a pinch, I'll smoke a Cohiba Red Dot. But it's not something that I'm reaching for.
I mean, but you're forgetting that some of these larger conglomerates have actually worked in collaboration with some of the other industry people, such as AJ, for example. He's come in and made some pretty great cigars for General and for Forged and such, where those cigars are pretty good. I like the Trinidad Espiritus, the 1, 2, and 3, or whatever it is. That's a good smoke. I have smoked them. I don't reach for a Cohiba Red Dot, but there are some Monte Cristos that other people have shared with me that I've been in the lounge and shops that are out there, whether it be Fat Ash or Jerry's or these other shops that I go to, and have bought in when I go in there. They carry those larger brands because they're recognizable heritage brands that people recognize, and they've got to do that.
Well, yeah, I get that, but I think Dan put a nice bow on this, saying that the publicly traded companies often do not align with the interests of family owned. And the example is STG supported predicates to eliminate competition.
Absolutely.
That's
Absolutely.
kind of at the heart of what I'm getting at. What they do, the larger they get, the more influence they have, the worse it is for the industry, because they can work to eliminate competition. Do I need to get started? How STG subsidiary cigars in internal war for customers trying to break family-owned brick and mortars? Right. Yeah, I'll stop. Like, there's a lot of things that these larger companies do, like STG and Altadas, that are not in the best interest of cigar smokers at large. They're just not. Nimmer Ahmad says, Dan about to get this whole show canceled. I don't care. Look, I'm not here to be politically correct. I don't think I've ever said that we're going to be politically correct on this show. And we are definitely going to allow, the opinions of our guests to come out, the opinions of our fans to come out, the opinions of our audience to come out, and the opinions of us as show hosts to come out. And I'm not trying to belittle anybody or disparage anybody. Look, STG does make some good cigars. They just do. Not all of them are bangers. But when you go pound for pound, I honestly think that where it's at is boutique. Smaller family-owned companies are focused on the customer. They're focused on B&Ms because B&Ms are their lifeblood. Look at what McAuliffe does with B&Ms. Yep. And Lou, you know that, and Nimmer knows that. As small boutique companies, you call yourself a micro brand. Valakari is certainly, I think, a little larger than a micro brand. They are the largest brand you've probably never heard of, but that's going to change because it's just so good that they are focused on what's best, and they do put out pound for pound better cigars with every release. With every release. All right, Texas is back. You ever thought about addressing the cigar lifestyle topic? Like, Tom, what do you want? What do you want us to? What kind of lifestyle do you want us to talk about? Umbrellas? Because I think I think Cigar Aficionado's got the corner on umbrellas. I'm sorry, it's Friday, and I'm feeling very fuck yeah, man, America, fuck yeah. Can I do that? I don't know. We might get a strike. Maybe not. Boobs or butt, guys. America. Oh shit.
Column A, column B.
Yeah, a little column A, a little column B. Randy, did you drop so you could go look for your favorite
Monte
STG
Cristo.
Altada stick?
No, I don't know if you guys saw it, but the lights flickered. I was like, what the hell is happening? Somebody's American the fuck out of something out there when they're flickering the lights. Team America's in the backyard.
It might be STG.
It's the Peacemaker and Eagly coming to visit.
It's a history. STG Hit Squad.
Oh shit!
No, that's why Dan had to go.
Yeah, Dan's like, nope, gotta go.
He's like, there's a guy at the window. I gotta go.
I think at the end of the day, it's not great for the industry. I don't think it is. I think maybe what they're doing for Alec Bradley and Booth is good.
Like I said, what cigar company?
Well, like you had dropped because of Ninjas, and the Ninjas were after you. But Dan had said that the publicly traded companies often do not align with the interests of family-owned. Example: STG supported predicates to eliminate competition. He also said, "Do I need to get started on how STG subsidiary Cigars? I'm going to guess is international is at war for customers trying to break family-owned brick and mortars. For example, they're opening up a new Cigars International in St. Louis, literally a mile away from where Lit Cigar Lounge is.
Really?
And I'm not saying competition isn't good. I think that's just that's America being America. And Walmart started this years ago when they started busting up, brick and mortar mom and pop shops on Main Street, USA. And now we've got these large conglomerates that just kind of overtake everything. I just don't know how good that is for the industry, Randy. I really don't. I think we lost. I thought Randy was frozen.
No,
I understand where you're coming from. I don't think I'm not saying. I just don't think that I think we lose something. I think we lose something as consumers. I think we lose something as enthusiasts. I think we lose something as aficionados when we have these large corporations that just get larger and they're able to affect competition in a negative way. However, I also know that Randy 100% disagrees with what I do.
No, I do not. I disagree with anything anybody says.
That's
know me.
You are a contrarian by heart. Cigars International. Sorry, I'm a bad typist. Predatory online pricing is not American. Yeah, he's got to walk away from the keyboard. Put the keyboard down, Dan. Put the keyboard down. But look, I mean, McAuliffe did this. They pulled all their stuff away from online. They're supporting B&Ms, and I look, Randy and I are very intimate with some B&Ms.
No, we're not. No, hold on. I didn't hear all of that. I put a kibosh on that real fast,
and
commas are important.
Not all B&Ms are made the same. I'll say that right off the bat. There are some B&Ms that don't look out for their consumers, that don't look out for their patrons, that don't look out for their everyday customer. And I don't think that those are the norm, but they are out there. And I think there are some that do look out. I think the majority look out for their consumers. And they're not raising prices 20% just because they can't. They're doing events and they're doing things the right way, and they have a passion for it. Well, yeah, I don't know what else to say on the subject. So maybe we should just move on. Dillingham, you're a pot stirrer. Mr. Dillingham, that's what you are. You are a pot stirrer, smoking a Carlos and a Maria Amoria right now. First time. Let me know how that is. I don't think I've ever smoked one. Keep it rolling, America. Speak your mind. Yeah, Dan, don't get in trouble. Don't get in trouble. There's a lot of B&Ms that are run by look, and the hobbyists do a fine job of running B&M. But I think that's it. Like, if you have an owner that doesn't smoke cigars and he's a B&M owner, he's just in it for the money, and he's not going to.
You got a cigar manufacturer that doesn't smoke cigars.
Okay, we're not going there.
What?
We're not going there.
What?
We're not going there.
I'm gonna pet that dog, James.
Don't
pet that dog.
I'll pet that dog. Don't pet that dog. Don't pet that dog.
I'll pet that dog.
Randy, what are you smoking?
A Byron.
Great cigar.
It's the last one I got left.
Is it really?
Yep.
Wow. I need to reach for my second cigar. This is our only 2-cigar show. We've got about 8 minutes left. This McAuliffe Blue lasted me, and this was a Toro, lasted me almost 2 hours. In fact, it did last 2 hours because I started this right before we went live, about 10 minutes before we went live. So this has lasted almost 2 hours. I love this cigar. You go to simplystogies.com and check out the review that Ryan did for it a couple months ago. Gave it a very high score. It's a very good cigar. And I'm not saying that just because Dan's on. It's really, really good. I love this cigar. I need to get another box because I only got one left. Blood medicine. Now, are you smoking Richard Beard Jr.? Are you smoking the event only, or are you smoking the Toro? Ryan Pugh says the blue is amazing. The blue is amazing. I love the blue. Finally, somebody from Facebook chiming in. It's been dominated by YouTube comments tonight. So I start to lose my voice.
What are you smoking, Tim?
This is some LH cigar that I found in my humidor. I don't know anything about it. I mean,
Figured he would be down with the Potomac, you know.
Yeah, I'm out of Potomacs. I need to probably buy more. I think this might be my first 4th of July without a Potomac.
The Potomac should be your 4th of July cigar.
It is. I like the barber pole, the whole 9 yards.
I believe it's called the Potomac, but that's the story for another day. We've beat that story into the ground.
He put the wrong emphasis on the wrong syllable there.
Toro. Okay, so you're smoking the Toro. See, I need to get. I smoked the Toro last week when I was in town hanging out with Randy at the drawing room in Davenport, Iowa, and I really like the Toro. I'm gonna have to get a box of it. I'm gonna have to find a box of the blood medicine Toro. Smoking the Magician's Wand by Rockefeller Cigar. Never heard of her. I don't know what that is.
Is she wearing khakis?
Probably some STG thing.
She's a guy, so she's hideous. McAuliffe Black or Blue. Oh, dude, the black seriously made our top 10 last year.
Oh yeah,
yeah. The black is so fucking good. I'd have a hard time choosing between the black and the blue though. And I'm certainly looking forward to the red later on this year in September. Fish Stick Friday for Lou. Lure Cigars. Let me.
Damn you, Lou.
Let me put you up on Solo so people can check it out. Lou, tell for the folks where they can get fish sticks.
So, there it is. This is the new Rothschild fish sticks. It is a Habano 2000 brand new cigar that just launched this week. You can go to Bull Weevil Fine Cigars or Humidor Fine Cigars of Dothan and LuxuryCigar.com, LuxuryCigarClub.com. They're going to be carrying them this next week as well. And there's several other retailers. It is basically our Habano blend that is amped up in a little 4.5 by 46 format, and they're sold in 5-packs. And I just love it. It's like a shot of espresso, full flavored little package. I like smaller ring gauge cigars, and this is the first one that's sub 50 ring gauge that we're putting out. And it's a great cigar for half an hour. It's a great follow up to another cigar as well. Or I smoke them in the morning with coffee. So fish sticks.
Fish sticks. Check them out. I can't wait to get my hand on some fish sticks. And may I just say, I'm looking at this picture of Nimr Ahmad here from his YouTube profile.
Yeah, he looks like
that's sexy.
Doesn't he? He looks like almost James Bond.
Sizzle. A lot of sizzle.
I think the kids call it Zaddy. Are you a Zaddy? I don't am I using that right? I have no idea.
Did you just call him Daddy?
Zaddy. Zaddy. Different than Daddy.
I don't know. You talk about him a lot.
Dan hopes that you enjoyed that Texas Taurus. Let's see. Those Lure cigars are good. I need to get more. Richard Beer. Yeah, you do. I enjoyed last night. You can see right there, I've got the last cast. I enjoyed one of those last night as my last cigar for 4th of July. I joined an American from JC Newman yesterday, and I think there was a McAuliffe Blue in there as well yesterday. Just nothing but good shit yesterday. But behind that is the speckled perch. I think I might bust that pack open and enjoy a speckled perch here once we end the show, and then start a GoFundMe so Lou and I can buy a proper espresso machine. Look, dude, you look like a movie star in this picture, Nimmer, that you've got on YouTube. Like, is this your glamour shot? Did you go to Glamour Shots to get this done?
It's a little Quentin Tarantino.
It's a little, it's a little Reservoir Dog-esque. I don't, So I don't think you need any help buying an espresso machine, my friend. Just get a mocha.
Works for every Italian.
It's good so far. I had a Tierra Blanche the other day. It's still thinking about that one. And now, Nimmer, that was before I lost my hair dealing with Lou's BS. For those of you who don't know, Nimmer, he is the owner. He is the mastermind behind Valakari Cigars, one of our sponsors for tonight's show, and a friend of mine. And we actually have an interview with him on Tuesday. Look for that in August or September. And he has lost his hair because dealing with Lou's stuff. He's also the distributor for Lure Cigars, which if you haven't tried Lure Cigars, go try Lure Cigars. Real quick before we get out of here, I do want to remind everybody, go to smallbatchcigar.com. Use coupon code Stogies, 10% off your order plus 5% reward points. Build those reward points. Spend them at Christmas time. And, because your wife's not going to get you the cigars you want. So get them yourself. Smallbatchcigar.com. Enthusiasts know, aficionados know, and now you should know. Smallbatchcigar.com. And I also want to remind everybody, if you're in the Tallahassee area, July 26th, join me at Fuma Cigar Social, where we are there live. We won't be doing it live, but I'll be there live and in person. And we'll put the footage out later. We'll put the party out later for the Valakari Cigars Astronomia launch party. He'll have a wider release later on, and that's when we'll put all that footage out. And you'll be able to get those at smallbatchcigar.com, but you can go get their pre-release right now at smallbatchcigar.com. They have the Astronomia pre-release, and try the Messenger or the Nobility or the Neoclassic. There's nothing bad from Valakari Cigars. I absolutely love them. And I can't wait for you guys to hear my next conversation with Nimmer from Valakari coming up later on this year. And look, if you can't make it to that, but you're, kind of around the area, because it's not that far away. It's a hop, skip, and a jump to Enterprise, Alabama, and Bull Weevil Cigars, where myself and Lou will be hanging out and doing a live there at the end of this month from Bull Weevil Cigars for the launch party for the Mean Gene. And guys, I'm going to tell you, if you haven't smoked Lure Cigars, you haven't tried the Habano, you're missing out. But I'm going to say something about the Mean Gene. It's so fucking good. It's so good. And it's named after his wife. And she was okay with it being called the Mean Gene because it's just got that little extra to it. It is a box press powerhouse of awesomeness. And I'm not just saying that because Lou's on the show. I really do like that cigar. I was able to try some at My Kentucky Herf last month. Was it last month? 2 months ago? I don't even remember. It feels like yesterday. I still miss those guys at Fat Ash Cigar. But join us next year, My Kentucky Herf. Just saying. But yeah, we had a great time. We'll have a great time there. We're going to have some great stuff for our LE Club members. If you want to become an LE Club member and help support us, a small podcast, which we're not really all that small anymore, but we still would love to support financially if you're able to do it. Go to simplystogies.com, click register in the top right, join the LE Club, $100 a month, $10 a year. And when we were at that live
$100 a year,
$100 a year, $10 a month. Did I switch that?
Yeah.
You could do $100 a month if you want. That's fine. Whatever you want to do. If you could do that, great. No, look, $10 a month, $100 a year. When we do that live event at Bull Weevil later on this month, we're going to have some stuff for you guys because you guys have supported us. And when we are able to do these lives, if you're a tier 2 or a tier 3 member, or you're a brand new, or for this first event, it's going to be all of our tier 1 members. We've got something for you. I promise we do. And you'll have it in the mail and you can watch live. You can join us, and it's going to be a really good time. Join us. Would you? Become an LE Club member today. SimplyStogies.com. And while you're there, check out all of the great reviews and articles that we've got there from everybody. I can't wait to bring everybody on board. We've got, like I said, I think Jeff Dillingham might be joining us. You might want to J Riggs. You might want to stay tuned. He may have a cigar coming up, and then I'm not putting that on screen, Randy. Just so you know, I'm looking at your comment now. I'm not putting that up there. Wife tricked me, told me she would buy me cigars if I stopped buying it. Yeah, I just bought $500 today from Small Batch. I looked at my wife. I'm like, I bought more, and she just gave me a look. Mean Gene is legitimately one of the best cigars you will ever try. 100%. 100%. Bought some lure at the Herf, man. Haven't stopped buying yet. Attaboy, Ryan. 2 months ago is when my own Kentucky Herf was. James just turned into Billy Mays. But wait, there's more. No, there's not. I promise that there's not. Look, that is Tim. That is Lou Cross. That's Randy Carmichael. And then down here, who's listening live and commenting via YouTube, Nimmer Ahmad from Valakari Cigars. Thank you guys for joining me. I appreciate it. Your support, your friendship is awesome. Thank you guys, everyone who commented. Richard Beer, Jay Rigg, Nimmer, Ryan, Texas, Dan from McAuliffe, just everybody who tuned in. Thank you so much for supporting us. Join us again. Like I said, end of the month, we'll have a live, but you know what? Beginning of the month, first Friday of next month, we'll have another After Dark. Join us for that. Until then, guys, stay smoky, friends. I thought I could just hit a button. I can't. I have to come over here and do it on my laptop. I have to hit it twice.